Welcome back to the Intelligent Builder podcast, sponsored by Plutus Agents. Today, I'm joined by Lori Dennis, a veteran interior designer and builder who's also built a serious media presence over decades, many TV shows, books, podcasts, and the kind of public credibility that actually wins premium projects. She's also unique in that she specializes in sustainability, but also operates across design to construction to materials, including a construction business and a windows and doors material side. So today we're going to unpack how she's built that, how she's differentiated herself in an industry where it can be easy to look like everybody else, and what she believes the next chapter is going to be for rewarding people who modernize fast. So Lori, it's great to have you on.
Thank you so much. Great to be here.
Of course, yeah. So I kind of want to start back in the beginning. So how did you end up in design? What was that calling there? How you knew it was your lane?
So I've always loved pretty things, and I saw architectural magazines when I was a kid. I used to love them. Long red velvet curtains would seduce me, and when I was a teenager, and boys were older than me and they could drive, I said, "I'll give you a date if you take me on open houses on the weekend, and we go in and pretend like we're shopping for our parents who are on the East Coast." So I'd go around to these multi-million-dollar houses in Los Angeles as a 15, 16-year-old kid and just kind of walk around and be enamored and be in love, and it kind of just took a life of its own from there.
Yeah, that's awesome. I definitely understand the need to get into the industry then. And I know a lot of people kind of see interior design is just picking finishes, but you've built a business that spans across design, construction, and materials like I was talking about. So can you walk me through what your business actually does today?
So, my philosophy is that you want to set yourself apart from others and really kind of pick up, don't step over the thousands to pick up the pennies. And I noticed when I got started with just interior design that the lion's share of the business was really, and the control of the business was really running the construction projects. So I pivoted and decided to add that to my business. And then once you start doing that, you quickly realize that there's a lot of opportunity in the building materials of the business, and that windows and doors specifically, flooring, those things can be tens of thousands or hundreds of thousands of dollars of profit in projects. So if you package all those things together, you are no longer stepping over the thousands. You're scooping those things up and putting them in the bank.
Yeah, definitely. It's awesome to vertically integrate in that way too. It can be super smart for the business to move forward. And you made a point in our last conversation that I really loved is that it can be relatively easy for someone to enter the design and contracting space. You mentioned it can be low-hanging fruit in some spaces, but it can also be pretty hard to stand out. So how did you do that? How did you stand out?
So in interior design in most states, you don't even need a license. You just need a desire to go out there. You don't even have to have good taste. You can get yourself into a lot of trouble that way. But so there's that. And then contracting, as you said, is very low hanging fruit. You just have to work for someone for a little bit and go out there without very much startup capital at all. Go on a couple different referral websites and get out there. And what winds up happening when people do things in those two respects without any kind of training or style or business acumen is they really put a bad name on the industry. And so the first thing that I did to differentiate myself was definitely have education. I got a degree from at the Masters of Interior Architecture at UCLA, and my partner on the construction has a degree in business management and construction from University of Houston. So education, really knowing what you're doing, working with the best. We both worked under some of the best people in the business. And then I decided I better get out there and pick a niche because the riches are in the niches. I learned that in my previous career, which is in finance. And so I decided that sustainable design 30 years ago now would be a burgeoning industry. It is. And it was something that I really held near and dear to my heart, not wasting, picking sustainable materials and impacting human health in a positive way.
Yeah, so you kind of leaned into that sustainability and wellness niche back then, and you're right, it is a very big thing now. But it's not only important, but it also created that different story for you. But it's something that the media pays attention to at the same time. So why did you pick that lane in particular, the sustainability side of things 30 years ago?
Well, like I said, I really had an authentic concern for doing things in a more sustainable way. It's a really wasteful industry. People will just come in wholesale and just rip out everything, which is perfectly functioning and can be beautiful if you just put a twist on things. So I really don't like waste. And it was a really good fit for me in terms of those things. And then I'm very particular about human health and having non-toxic environments, especially in interiors. So those things really authentically concerns that I had. And I could see that it wasn't very saturated. There weren't a lot of people talking about it. So the few people who were really interested in that did not have a big pool to fish in. And I knew if I could deep dive and really know my stuff in that industry and that particular niche, that all things being equal, I'm the one that's going to get selected for the projects because I have that special information and knowledge that others aren't really picking up on yet.
Yeah, so you're kind of taking the mindfulness approach there to the industry. And then on the same side of things where people pick you because you do care about those things, on the media side, you've been on tons of TV shows, podcasts, published books. So how did that start? Was that an intentional strategy or did it just kind of snowball?
So that was definitely an intentional strategy. I knew that, or I ascertained at that time that media needs something interesting to talk about. So I would do things like contact satellite stations outside of LA, which I'm where I'm located, where it's going to be really hard to get any kind of attention, and pitch them on making a drink at 3 o'clock in the morning for their news show, or pitch them on how to set a table, or pitch them on how to make a sustainable nursery for your baby. And once I got about 10 or 12 of those smaller satellites out in Palm Springs and San Diego, I was able to have some street cred when it came to bigger networks and channels in Los Angeles. And then I also got a hold of a list of all the publishers, and I just started sending out projects and information to all of them one by one, you know, setting myself apart by, hey, it's green or sustainable. And are you interested in this? And of course, not a lot of people were doing it. So I was able to get the focus and attention. And then that just led to TV shows and book deals and speaking engagements and this whole media path that was very intentional, but was surprisingly blowing up because of those early steps of picking the niche and then going to far away where there wasn't as much talent.
Yeah, so all that hard work and kind of grit in the beginning to get yourself out there compounded in a way so then you were on the like HGTV and things like that and it paid off. So let's say today, because that was a little bit ago, if someone wanted to replicate that today, what would that look like? What do you think are some real steps they should take?
So it's so easy now because of social media and AI. I mean, if you're not getting a presence out there in terms of, what you're special at and what you're good at in an authentic way, then you're just asleep. I mean, it's not difficult. I think the hard thing is really finding the thing that you want to do and really focusing in on that specific thing and day in, day out until you see the results. It gets frustrating because you put in a lot of time and energy, but if you stick with it, it will happen. And it's all free now.
Yeah, there are a lot of resources to get yourself out there. And like you're saying, if you stick with it, it will start to compound and you will get some visibility there. And then staying in that marketing lane, you mentioned AI, and it's true. In our previous conversation, we talked about how we're not fully there in terms of operations, but like business management and the marketing advertising side of things, we're definitely there. So where are you seeing tech or AI help you today?
So just even in the last week since we spoke, OpenClaw, I'm sure you're aware of it, has
Mhm.
hit the internet in a big way. And so now you not only have your ChatGPT and your Claude Code, but you have these agents that you can assign tasks for, and then the agents are hiring agents. And it's a little intimidating for someone who's not technical like myself, but if you get in there and start asking for help from the agents. They teach you very patiently how to work with these things. And so while we're not 100% there in terms of the automation, we're probably, if it's a week and Sunday's the end, we're on Saturday. Like we're almost there.
Yeah, every day there are new things coming out just like that that make the processes even better, even faster. And I'm like you, I'm not very technical, but I've been able to use these resources to help me. I'm not coding, but trying to build those automations and things like that. So, what do you think now, since we're so close and there are a lot of resources out there? What are one or two places you think a business owner should look if they're going to start to implement some of that technology today?
I would go on X and just start, put in the terms that you're looking to accomplish. And there's just to the minute information. It's kind of overwhelming. And your feed will start to be things where you just don't feel like you have enough hours in the day to learn all the new things. But if you just take something small and start working with it, you're really going to have a lot more success than you think you would. And if you just feel completely overwhelmed, there are people there that you can reach out to and maybe even hire. So if an employee cost you, or three employees cost you $120,000 a year and all kind of paperwork, you can maybe hire this person for $5,000 for some sessions and get your stuff all set up, get trained on how to use it, and you will be shocked at the speed at with which you can handle a marketing department, a sales department, and, an admin department with these agents and move forward ahead of your competition, because design, construction, and building materials is really like a laggard when it comes to technology. These people are like, doing stuff out of their filing cabinets. A lot of the workers don't even have websites. I mean, it's just like they're just not there. So if you can even not even master, but even just practice some of these skills, you're going to be light years ahead. I mean, we're for our Windows company, we're on the waiting list to get a robot. We're trying to be like one of a humanoid robot, one of the first people that can have it, like doing the training for Windows installation. Now imagine, I mean, the press that you're going to get, the PR to be the first one doing something like this. And then once that humanoid learns how to do something, it just can repeat it over and over without any mistakes and to a very precise level that a human could never do it. So it seems so crazy how fast it's moving, but I just say embrace it. And this is coming from someone who couldn't even program like, a CD or a VCR back in the day.
Yeah, no, you're absolutely right. I mean, that would be super cool if you had that robot doing all that stuff. That'd be incredible. But you're right in that right now the highest leverage things is either saving money or reducing the time it takes to do things. That's it's really best for now. And then another thing you mentioned on our last conversation is it's going to be a winner take all shift where if you're modernizing now, you're the ones that are going to be running the industry versus the 1950s models. So, what do you think is going to really separate the winners there versus the laggards, like you were saying?
I think the people that are doing the hard work right now, and for people like you and me who are not coders, it's hard. This is like going to a foreign country and learning a new language and competing with the people who are fluent and know the laws of the land. So if you have the courage and the determination to try these new tools, you're by mastering them, I think over the next 12 months, going to put yourself into a position where you're superhuman and everybody else is just going to get swallowed up.
Yeah, even starting small, like you're saying, just really take your first step in. You don't have to dive in super deep. Like take your first step and you can learn. Like you were saying earlier, the models can just help teach you. Just talk to them and figure it out.
And you can start, if you don't know where to start, if you have social media, start tinkering with your social media. Try to automate the social media. That's probably the easiest, most not scary, the least scary thing to do. You can open up a separate account so you don't mess up the one that you already have and start working with those agents. And quite honestly, whenever you don't understand something, put it into some AI and ask it to explain it to you like a friend at coffee. And it is just truly amazing how your knowledge field will expand by just doing that and not being lazy and not being afraid. So that's my best advice.
Yeah, I mean, the accessibility of information like that today is it's so easy to just go out and educate yourself. You don't need to go through all these formal educations and now coding or AI. You can dip your toe in and like you're saying, like do a little research there. So in the industry of, construction and design, that's in tradesmen, that's really the industry that's kind of lagging behind a little bit. So what do you think is the reason for that? Why do you think that is?
Well, it's brute force, it's not a cerebral kind of a thing. It's a very hands-on, very tactile kind of an experience. And traditionally, you don't really have to have any kind of degree or special schooling to other than maybe a trade course to get into these fields. And so it just the whole dynamic of the industry is just kind of like roll up. It's like it's like beginning human systems is like, building structures. It's just feels very, very innate and not technical, although you could really run a very professional technical operation. I'm not saying that you can't, but it enables people who maybe didn't have all that kind of skill level to thrive. And they've been thriving up until this point. But I think that there's this tsunami of people who are willing to embrace this technology that are going to just come at them, and they're not going to see it coming because they're just not, they're also when you're comfortable and you're making money and things work, you don't tend to want to rock the boat. You want to just keep going. But I'm here to tell anyone listening in any industry, if you want to survive in the next 3 years, you should probably listen to what we're saying and, dip your toes in.
Yeah, I mean, the old ways, they work, and that's good. You can be making great money, but it's good to be adaptable and really try things out. Like, you can change old habits, although it's very difficult for behavior change. And actually, going along with that, the process of implementing the technology and process change, if it involves a behavior change, that's huge, or a habit change, that's huge. So, in your experience, or maybe just simply advice to a builder that's looking to do some of that change, what approach would you say they should take?
I would think about the part of your business because it is a business, right? I mean, we're building things and it is kind of old fashioned in terms of our industry, but it's still a business. So there's still some primary things in business like your marketing, your admin, your bookkeeping. So what is your pain point? What do you feel like if you could hire the best person in the world to help you with something? Is it a business coach? Is it somebody to write you a roadmap of where you want to go? Is it just you feel really comfortable, but you are not great at keeping your books up? And so you don't really ever know where you are. You're kind of hanging on by the seat of your pants. Whatever your pain point is, whatever is the scariest or whatever you feel you're lacking, just start exploring that area. And how can I use new technology to help me be stronger just in that one little area? And then from there, if you have a good experience and you have some results, then you're going to be feeling a lot more confident to take it a step further and then to, fully automate.
Yeah, I mean, once you solve those first couple of problems with automation or with systems, then you can really start to scale it because you get comfortable, like you're saying, you really have confidence in your ability to do it. What about internally for you? Has there been a specific system implementation or automation that you use that's worked really well for you?
So when all of this kind of went down a couple years ago, we just started putting contracts into chat and iterating contracts really quickly or putting legal situations. There's a lot of lawsuits that go on in this industry, just like what are the legal implications of this? So really using it more of like a lawyer type, like a legal reference. And then slowly using the CRMs to work with the automation to hook up to the marketing and answering the emails with bots, which is something that, the bigger companies obviously have been doing for a long time. But because of the technology, smaller companies can now implement those things. And now with what's been going on is just kind of maybe pulling away from those systems and just creating new systems, which you could never do before. It was cost prohibitive, but new systems that are curated specifically for what your business is doing, by having those agents, prompting them the right way and having those agents manipulate the existing sources out there to mold to exactly what you need and not having to deal with all the other 29 features that you're paying for that you don't need and that don't apply to you. So that's kind of the journey of where this thing has gone. And it's, when social media first came, everybody felt like, oh my gosh, this is like a whole other job, and now this AI learning how to use this great technology is again, this whole new job, this whole new learning. It's like going back to school all over again, but only in real time. So you should be lifelong learning. That's what keeps you young. That's what keeps Alzheimer's away. And that's what keeps your financial success being a certain thing is to just always be learning and always be adapting.
Yeah, definitely. You always need to be willing to learn, especially now with the advancements of technology. Like if you don't learn, you get left behind, just like we keep saying. But you did make a really good point there is when sometimes when you're using a system or software, there's 20 parts of the software you don't actually use. So I think that custom solutions are going to become huge, like custom softwares per business individually. So what do you think about that? Is there a time frame you think? You think that's going to be something soon?
So the experts say that we're looking at, the next 18 to 24 months for this to really unfold. And at first I was like, wow, that's really ambitious. But now seeing how fast these open clause like agents are just spinning up whole entire swarms of networks that are doing things for people. Now, granted, they're a lot more proficient in the technological, web and background than maybe a layman is. But I think it's getting easier and easier, and I think it's moving faster and faster. So I would say, like in the next 24 months, you're really going to be able to. You can literally talk to an AI right now and get a landing page made that looks pretty good. You can talk to an AI and get a website made where before you were spending tens of thousands of dollars in months. So if it keeps moving at this speed, I would definitely say in the next 2 years, you're going to be able to really customize and get a lot of horsepower out of the technology.
Yeah, definitely. No, I for sure agree with you. And I guess continuing to look ahead now in your business particularly, I mean, you have all those various sides of it. Where are you looking to take that in the next few years?
So the design business, construction business will keep moving in the same direction and luxury high-end projects. And the reason that we would do that at this point is we're really good at it. We know how to scale it properly and it keeps you fresh and knowing what's going on out there. For the windows and doors, we're really expanding that business and I want to be the first all humanoid installation vehicle that's out there. So from my mouth to the universe that should happen because I just think that it's a very dangerous, very cumbersome trade that we could bring a lot of value to the homeowner and a lot of value to our firm doing that. And then I would like to continue writing books and educating, which I love doing. And then I'm also working on a whole different area of all of this information and expertise. I'm being an expert witness, which is basically getting paid to give testimony and information in lawsuits to help them settle and come to a resolution. So just taking all of those skills and just continuously trying the next thing and vertically and horizontally and diagonally integrating everything.
Yeah, no, I love that approach. That's a really great perspective and mindset to have moving forward. Okay, since you're doing all these really cool things, how do you manage your time?
How do I manage my time?
Any best practices you have?
Okay, this is a tricky one because I think some personalities are really organized and good at managing time and some people are like spaghetti. It's just kind of all over the place. If you're a spaghetti person, I think that maybe doing time blocks and giving yourself sufficient time in those time blocks to really get into your flow. Like you don't want to stop the time block before you really could get into it. But okay, I am not going to dilly dally and go work on this and go do this. I'm going to block out this time and just focus and get this done. Um, and good old fashioned, here's one thing I think pen to paper, good old fashioned to-do lists and scratching it off when you're done is so gratifying. And you could put it into your tech and have it all very sophisticated. But I think also like doing it that way for me, pen to paper and marking it off when it's done is very effective.
Yeah, and when you're using pen and paper, your brain isn't designed to think of other things and write different things at the same time. So you really have to focus on the pen and paper. And with the time blocking too, I think they say you can only truly focus for 2 to 3 hours at a time, maybe 4 hours max. So that's super key. But I want to kind of jump back actually because you deal with super luxury clients all the time. I imagine that can be stressful at times because I feel like there's a lot of expectations of perfection. So how do you kind of navigate the client experience there to make sure everything is going smooth?
So I would say that the first thing that you want to do, no matter what stage you are in your business, is you need to have the confidence to say no to a situation when your gut is telling you this could be gnarly. And your bank account is telling you, oh, you need to take this. I think if you can have the confidence to say no, that is about 90% of the answer to the question that you just asked me. And the other 10% is to be patient with people and be very good at communication because they don't know what you know. And a lot of times people work out of fear, which could look like anger, but it's really that, they're feeling out of control because they don't understand. So being a good communicator and then being reliable. When you can demonstrate that every single time you say you're going to do something, it's done. And there's follow up, even when something's out of your control, that you would say, hey, I don't have an answer for that yet. I'm still waiting from so and so, but I just wanted to touch base and let you know I didn't forget about that. Having the communication skills and the being reliable and being patient with people is going to take you a very long.
Yeah, that communication aspect is super key. That's something that comes up all the time is communication, especially in this industry, just because it can be very easy to miscommunicate. So you always have to over communicate. But in terms of the being patient with the client and things like that, educating is something you love to do. You said it a couple times. How do you make sure you're educating the client so there are no misunderstandings, they understand the timeline and things like that?
So this business is fraught with miscommunication, missed schedules, people not showing up. There's so many links in the chain here that inevitably you're going to get into some kind of a situation. Even if you do everything right, your suppliers might have a supplier that didn't do the right thing. And then it all falls back on you. So if you can come to the situation and take full responsibility, don't be a finger pointer. Just say, this thing happened. It's ultimately my responsibility. I want to let you know how I'm going to address this and how we're going to fix this and how we're going to move forward. You can't please everyone all the time, but that goes back to my first 90%. Like if that person seems unreasonable or you feel uneasy about the situation, saying no can keep you out of lawsuits. It can keep you out of turmoil. It can keep you out of contracts that go on and you just don't want to do it anymore. With the other 10%, having the the strength to accept responsibility for it and be a clear communicator is going to get you through to the other side.
Yeah, unfortunately, saying no can be really difficult for a lot of people too. So that's definitely something people need to learn. You've dropped a lot of great insights today, and I want to ask you one more question, just because you've got such great things to say. If you're talking to a younger builder or designer or contractor, I guess, and they're listening, they want to stand out, but they don't want to be gimmicky. What would you tell them to do in the first, let's say, 12 months?
Be authentic. What is the most important thing to you about the job? Is it that you love working with your hands? Is it that you love the final look? Is it that you love transformation? Is it that you have a style that you feel is so great that you want everybody to know about it and embrace it and live in it? Just figure out, who are you? What's your point of view? And then share that point of view authentically. That's the only way you can stand out anymore because it's a sea of free publicity, right? So put your freak flag up, fly it, and then, your colony and your tribe is going to come and be attracted to what you're selling.
That's great advice. This has been awesome, Lori. Thank you. I appreciate you breaking down everything on how to differentiate yourself and especially the media and niche strategy, but also some really great insights on implementing technology. That's always going to be huge in the coming years, especially. So seeing that industry shift is going to be great. And you're trying to pioneer that. So I'm super excited for you. Before we close out though, is there anywhere people should find you? Maybe a website or LinkedIn you're most active on?
So I'm Lori Dennis Inc. on X, and I'm not super active there, but if you need to DM me, you can, or you can just go straight to my website, loridennis.com.
Awesome. That's great. I'll link some information below so you're easily findable. But for everyone listening, thank you for tuning in to The Intelligent Builder. If you found this episode valuable, make sure to share with a founder, builder, contractor in your circle, and I'll see you in the next one. Thank you, Lori.
You're welcome. Thank you.